2 years ago, I moved to Spain to start my new journey as an IT specialist as my full-time job. Besides spending the majority of my time at my 9 to 5, I also have the mental challenge to learn a complete new language from the beginning. And those activities which are necessary for my personal development as well as my job-related to-dos are consuming a lot of hours in a day, which made it in the beginning really hard for me to find the balance between work and not neglecting my mental health. I struggled with allowing myself to make time for myself, but I feel like now I'm finally created a personal strategy for me where I am in harmony and balance between my work and my personal life. Every morning before my day really starts, I take about 10 minutes to just sit in stillness, pray the Jesus prayer, and meditate. It helps me to center myself and reset my mind before the world starts pulling me in every direction. In those 10 minutes, I try to center my thoughts only onto the prayer and block every other thoughts like worries or to-dos for the day. It is really simple, but it makes a huge difference. So this is really one routine that I never skip, no matter how stressful I know this day could get. Starting off with the first thing that is helping me tremendously during my daily life is something that I call the 3-in-1 rule. You can also take it as a 2-in-1 rule, whatever suits you the best. To explain this rule, I try to integrate 3 activities into one time lap. The first thing is to be physically active. So every day when I'm not going to the gym, I'm walking around 10,000 steps so that I'm still maintaining my health. While I'm walking those steps, I put a podcast on which is basically teaching me Spanish. In this way, I'm not only doing something to stay fit, but also for my personal growth. The way that you can actually learn something new without being stuck onto a table is helping me to find more fun in actually learning something new. If that is learning a new language or hearing to a podcast which is faith or science related, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that you can expand your horizon and learn something new that you didn't know before. The third and last thing that I'm incorporating into this routine is to have like one thing that is actually bringing you joy, and for me it is being outside in the nature, because I don't know what it is, but as soon as I see the ocean or being in general surrounded by nature, like going to the park for example, it's doing just something with me, especially when I had those days at work that were a bit more stressful than usually. After I also check on the health app that half of the steps I have already achieved, I just sit down for a moment, take my book, and just gonna read a little bit for a while. It is the time which I'm spending on myself, which is really needed for me to have really at the end a balance of both worlds. If it's reading a book, drinking a coffee somewhere, or just listening to some music in general, you can choose whatever you like to fill that important time of the day that you just reserve for only yourself. The second rule that I created for myself is buy things that bring you long-term joy. And this has such a positive impact on my mood at work. What I mean by that is that I realized as soon as I spend money on little things like some flowers or a candle, it really changes my mood, because I tend to spend money on things like new clothing. But then I thought, wait a minute, how many times I actually wear those new items? Especially in my job where I'm working from home office. It's so funny because when you look at studies, for example, people who are working from home are around 80% at home, while going out for dates in cafes or meeting with your friends in comparison, that's only around 20%. So for me, I realized that this affects my mood while I'm working, which sounds a bit silly, like how can flowers can change your mood? But it really affects me because it makes the environment of my apartment just so much more alive. And I feel like that's the reason why I feel also much more alive, if that makes sense. Coming to the actual working part in my day, while working from home, I really struggle to separate work from my private life, because basically you work and live in your private space, and My problem was that I always had my phone right next to me, and this was having such a bad impact on my motivation and the quality of my work. It took me some while to realize that the issue was because of my phone. Maybe some can relate to this, that you just check your phone way too often without even thinking why you actually grabbed the phone in the first place. And then I put a stop to it, and I know it sounds really easy and simple because it actually is, but putting my phone into another room and close the door helped me to set a boundary, which is forcing me to actually stick to a task till the end. Especially when you're in the middle of something and you just grab your phone, it's really hard to reconnect to the task that you worked on. I realized this is the most effective way how I can really do a lot of work while I'm focused, and when I have like a lunch or bio breaks, I just grab my phone to quickly check, but that's it. That's the way how I can really separate my private life from my work life. When talking about a good work-life balance, one of the most important factors for me is going to the gym, especially lifting weights. This is a real game changer for me to stay centered throughout the week, because it not only helps me to stay physically fit, but also helps me mentally. While doing a gym activity, the body actually releases happiness hormones such as dopamine, which relieves stress and releases energy, so your head clears, you sleep better, and overall you are more resilient both mentally and physically. Eating well plays a big role for me in maintaining a healthy work-life balance, and is also one of the most essential key factors for me. Not only eating healthy, but at the same time preparing quick meals which don't take a lot of time and effort, because let's be honest, nobody has time to spend 2 hours in the kitchen for cooking one meal. The only thing that is important is that you match your food to your daily activities. So for example, if I'm coming home from the gym, I try to get some proteins like fish or meat, but also a nutritious meal, so I make sure I also include some vegetables with it. In this way, I'm having a perfect meal which covers up all my needs and is still making me full and satisfied. And here's something super important. Give yourself a break on the weekends. What I mean by that is, don't just crash on the couch and scroll through your phone for hours or binge watch a TV series, but actually meet up with friends. This had such a huge impact on how I was feeling. I didn't even realize how close I was to burning out until I actually stepped away for a bit. Try to have at least once in a week a meetup with your friends, like going for dinner or just grab coffee and go for a walk. Keep in mind that this time is not wasted, it's how you recharge and stay human actually.